The Boys' fourth season opens with a hint that something is wrong with Homelander in Episode 3. Homelander asserts that Starlighters pose the greatest threat to the United States of America during the most recent Vought conference, but he is undoubtedly having mental health issues. Homelander introduces Sister Sage and Firecracker as the newest members of the Seven in an attempt to deflect attention from him. Additionally, he is holding one spot open for Ryan, his son. Vaught's headquarters is also starting to show signs of weakness, particularly since Sage is still not in agreement with Homelander's strategies. Nevertheless, Firecracker's messaging is undoubtedly effective. Indeed, shortly after, an unidentified middle-aged man shows up at Starlight HQ and claims to be there to save the kids who are housed in the basement. He pulls a gun, but Frenchie shows up and knocks him down, diffusing the situation. At Newman's headquarters, the team is debating whether to launch an anti-soup campaign and outright ban them during this time. One of the executive men, Robert Singer, feels that Vought has been making the decisions for far too long and that it is time to change that. Kimiko joins Frenchie to help her face her past and get revenge on the traffickers, while Butcher employs Kessler in his quest to try to get Ryan back. wants to attempt to flip A-Train to side with them over on the opposite side of Vought headquarters. He's prepared to make a move, and thinks he could be their insider. That's probably a good thing, as Sage is now the Seven's CEO, replacing Ashley. She starts questioning the group about the stolen crime analytics video right away. Since it's his department, Deep is no longer in command and is also facing consequences for this. His pet octopus, Ambrosius, whom he is presently dating, suffers from his stress. Deep feels that taking a trip is just too hazardous, even when she proposes it. Poor creature. After meeting A-Train, tries to persuade him to change by using the leverage of killing 3 people. Even though he curses him out at first, it's obvious that A-Train will give it some thought. It can't arrive at a better time. Homelander murders a lady at Vought who admits to providing Annie with their info. When Firecracker arrives to meet Annie, she doesn't understand why the YouTuber despises her. It turns out that she had previously competed under the name Sparkler, placing second only to Starlight. That animosity, however, is the result of Annie fabricating a story that she had a gangbang with the judges. In addition, she called Firecracker obese and cursed her out. This clarifies the reason behind her intense hatred and her persistent grudge. When Ryan visits Butcher, he notices a more compassionate side of him when he talks about the person he injured. It's a far cry from Homelander's icy attitude, and he is definitely moved by his candor about not being able to raise a child and how afraid he is to do what's right for Becca. Kimiko and Frenchie break into the warehouse in another scene to locate the traffickers. It's Frenchie's turn to become wasted since he ends up having hallucinations the entire time Kimiko is attacking. In addition to Little Nina, he also sees Colin, a bathtub, and dead bodies. It's a really hip and fashionable section. Huey and are the only ones remaining to spread the word about Vought on Ice, as everyone else has gone off to work side jobs. Huey overhears Homelander telling Victoria to be proud of herself and live up to her legacy as a soupy when he is in the vents. Sadly, Huey starts to perspire a lot and a drop falls on his shoulder. He immediately knows Huey is in the vents as soon as he smells it, and he runs after him. As Huey attempts to flee, mayhem and violence break out, but A-Train, of all people, is the one who picks him up and takes him to safety. It's a startling change of circumstances, and it's kind of ironic that Huey's life was damaged by super speed, which now positions him to be saved. Huey arrives in the hospital, a little more composed than before, and talks to his mother. It transpires that her reason for leaving was depression. It ate her insides and never went away. She even attempted suicide. Getting ready was like climbing Everest. She ultimately packed up her belongings and left Huey since it was either life or death for her. In the meanwhile, the Deep visits Sage and challenges her on the debacle involving the crime analytics department. Nevertheless, this soon develops into a passionate, food-fueled sexual session between the two. Ryan reappears at the same moment as Homelander, who detects the scent of Butcher on him. Homelander laments Ryan, thinking he's unworthy, and finally breaks the window. Homelander hears a voice and starts to recognize himself in the broken fragments in the mirror as Ryan runs off with it. He is experiencing a mental breakdown and thinks that his desire for love is a disease. He needs to go home to put an end to it.